Gigantamax Lapras is coming out this Sunday. It's going to be a challenging Pokemon to fight. I think maybe one of the more challenging Pokemon to go after from the Gigantamax system just because of how tanky Lapras is. But in today's video, I'm going to go over everything you need to know to make sure that you can take it down, hopefully, in Pokemon Go. So welcome to the Trainer Club. Here we go. Gigantamax Lapras is going down for 3 hours this Sunday from 2 until 5 p.m. So let's make sure you guys are prepared for this. I will be in Hong Kong, like I told you guys about, playing the Safari Zone, so I hope that since there's going to be trainers around, we will be able to do multiple of these Gigantamax raid battles, and I will put out a video on Sunday morning for you guys, if you're not over in the Asia Pacific or on the other side of the world, to make sure you guys know exactly what's going on during this event. So for this Pokemon, Gigantamax Lapras is going to be a water and an ice type Pokemon, which makes it challenging not only because it doesn't have a double weakness, but also because it has really hard-hitting moves. It's going to be powerful, and it's a tanky Pokemon in general. So this is going to be a challenging battle, much more challenging, I think, than some of the Kanto starters that have already been out, and definitely more challenging than was the Toxtricity that did have the double weakness to ground. This Pokemon will be weak to electric, fighting, grass, and rock. Just want to give a big shout out to Pokemon Go Hub for putting together this article that helped us gather a lot of these resources, and a resource that is very good for you guys to check out overall. It's going to be single resistant to water and double resistant to ice, just a heads up. So if you are going in there with a Blastoise in the Gigantamax form, not going to help. And as far as the base stats, we're looking at 165 for the attack, a defense of 174, and the stamina is the problem for us during these battles of 277. So this Pokemon, yes, it is tanky, and it's going to be probably more than likely a pretty good fight. And that's why I was so excited to be able to have the opportunity to do so many Gigantamax Toxtricities last weekend, or a couple weekends ago, because I saw that this was going to be effective. And as far as the moves coming out with the Gigantamax, these Gigantamaxes don't use fast moves. They only use Gigantamax and max moves. So we have a couple move options here, multiple different ice and water type moves, including Skull Bash that is a normal type move. And then they have the max moves. And since those max moves cannot be dodged, just as a reminder guys, what you can do is you can back out from these Pokemon if they have a movesets that's challenging for you. Let's say that you are using a Gigantamax Venusaur, which we will cover here in a second. That Pokemon is going to be weak to ice, which is problematic. So if you are going and it is throwing double ice moves at you guys, you can back out of these Gigantamax raids, go back in, and that will re-roll the moveset that they're fighting against you with, and so then you can try to gear around that. That's what we were doing with the Gigantamax Toxtricity. If you guys want to see how those battles operate, check out the 100 raid battle video up here, because it kind of gives you some insight to how it works. Because when we were going in with smaller parties at the end of the day to get the last 10 max battles done, there was a couple times with Power Up Punch where it was just hitting us too hard and we weren't able to have the stamina and to move around that Pokemon to be able to take it down. So as far as the most effective Pokemon to go after this Gigantamax Lapras with, number one, like I talked about, Toxtricity in the Gigantamax form. So hopefully you guys were able to do that. And like I talked about in a different video yesterday, please make sure to go after, if you have a lucky friend and you don't have a Gigantamax version, you didn't even have the opportunity to, just trade for it. Get it as a lucky Pokemon. Then you can power it up to level 40 with half of the Stardust. And like I talked about, you guys more than likely probably did at least a couple raids, maybe a Dynamax raid, but didn't have the opportunity to do the Gigantamax. Is all you need to do is get that thing from a special trait. It is in the Gigantamax form a special trait inherently, so you would only be able to get one per day. You can't dump them and get lucky ones. So in order to get this, I would suggest just getting one, and then you can power it up and don't even care as much about the IVs. I used to be a very big stickler about IVs, but I've kind of let that slide a little bit and been more in favor of having lucky Pokemon that you can power up if you're just fighting raid bosses, but save the IV importance when you're going into PvP. In spot number 2, we have the Vine Whip Gigantamax Venusaur. So that's really cool. And then we have the Dynamax Toxtricity. So if you don't have the availability to be able to get a Gigantamax, the Dynamax will follow suit. And then we have the Dynamax Venusaur. We have the Dynamax Machamp. That's going to be brand new. Dynamax Rillaboom. And then finally the Dynamax of the Phalanx. Okay, so for multiple of these. So if we're looking at Pokemon that we could use, Honestly, in my opinion, the only Pokemon and best Pokemon to use is that Gigantamax Toxtricity. Because if you can help it, you can get a couple of these Pokemon, or maybe you did them, using level 21s are more than likely the most effective place for you to be, because then they also don't have that ice weakness, which is effective. So that's what I would suggest for you guys. And those are going to be the attackers. And then if you want to have a different strategy, integrate healers as well as defenders, that can happen as well. So for the defenders, Dynamax Blastoise with Bite, Dynamax Metagross with Zen Headbutt, Dynamax Greedent with Tackle, Dynamax Double with Tackle, and Dynamax Machamp with Counter. And these are recommended based on movesets and resistances and stuff like that. So if you want to have 2 Toxtricity Gigantamax to use as attackers, because remember, when you're going into Gigantamax/Dynamax, you can change those Pokemon, and then once you de-Dynamax, or whatever you want to call that, and go back to your normal form, you can then change that over back into another Pokemon that's more of a defender type Pokemon. And then if you guys want to use the healers, which I don't think is really that effective here, but you can do the Greedent, the Excadrill, the Rillaboom, the Machamp, or the Venusaur G-Max or D-Max. So for me personally, I would consider the healers a part of the attackers, because when I'm attacking with these Pokemon, obviously they're going to be in the Gigantamax form, so that's when I'm going to want to have the healers in there. I'm usually not going to switch back and forth. If I have a defender in there, that's because after I Gigantamax, I want to save that Gigantamax Pokemon, so I don't want it to take damage. Then I would put in a defender, and then I would have that defender in there going through the normal battle, so that when it's coming at you with all the multiple different moves, it's not taking super effective damage. It's a little bit more bulky of a Pokemon. And then as soon as we go into the other form and we are back into the attacking form with the Gigantamax, I'm going to switch into that Toxtricity, and I'm going to use the G-Max stun move. And all of mine will be at level 2 for all of my Toxtricity. So if you guys want to see a little bit more about Toxtricity, you can pause here. Or Venusaur, pause here and check out the different typings. Or the Machamp, go ahead and pause here. But the Venusaur is the one that I want to point out that, remember, it is weak to ice. And just as a reminder, the Gigantamax have fixed moves. The Dynamax can change their moves based on their quick attack. So if you wanted to have an electric quick attack, or you wanted to have a poison quick attack, then that would change what the Dynamax move is. But the Gigantamax cannot change moves like that. So for, let's give Metagross for an example, you can run that with a Psychic quick move, which would then have a Psychic attacking move, or you could run it with a Steel move, which then have a Steel type move. And so my strategy here usually is to put the shields. I usually use 1 max shield every single time, and then I do 2 attacks if that's what I'm doing. And then if I'm noticing that my party is down, because remember, the parties are important. So if you have somebody that has a lot of power in the moves and max Pokemon, such as myself, I will have a level 50 Gigantamax Toxtricity. You're gonna want one of me in the party that's gonna be always doing the attacking, and maybe 1 shield to keep me alive. Then we're going to switch over, or the other strategy is I could switch out of that Gigantamax Toxtricity and I could go into another Pokemon and not worry about trying to put one of those shields on. Also, those people in the party, you also want to have healers that are going to be in there as well that can heal Pokemon if they don't have as powerful as attackers. Or I'm going to go in with Toxtricity with multiple of these Pokemon buffed, and that will be my way to go after these Pokemon. So it's something that, you know, you have to play with, but you are going to want to have a very powerful attack per team. And how do you decide those teams? It's going on in order of when you jump into those max battles. So the first 4 are going to be Team 1, second 4, Team 2, third 4, Team 3. And if you had 1 more person in there, it will be on a team by themselves, and that will be a little bit of a problem for that Pokemon and for that person. They're probably going to be the first person to die out, and they will be cheering. But that is going to be how you optimize that all around. And the last strategy is, do not forget, when you are not in Gigantamax/Dynamax form, you're as a regular Pokemon, you do not want to use your special moves. That will take time away from you getting back into the Dynamax Gigantamax form. And that is the form that only does the most damage. As a regular Pokemon, you're not doing any damage. So do not click your specials in that situation. Is all you want to do is tap on the fast moves, because that's going to fill the meter up, and focus on the bubbles when they come out. If you see a Dynamax bubble pop up, you swipe over and you get that immediately. Make sure everybody's paying attention and they're not doing their fast moves, because that will make it the most effective. And make sure to go in with as many trainers as possible. This will make it the easiest way to do so. And please encourage people to at least go in with Gigantamax forms, not coming in with like a Dynamax Drillbur or a Dynamax Squirtle. That's not going to help the party. And so that is going to be one of the biggest hindrances into being effective against this Gigantamax Lapras. But I just want to say thank you guys. Good luck this weekend. Can't wait to see you guys out from Hong Kong. It's cold out in Oregon right now. Not as cold as it's been, but the sun is amazing. But I'm ready for some warmer weather. So I'm gonna see you guys out in Hong Kong, maybe on the next video. Peace.
I want to take this time to thank everybody who supports me in every facet. It means the world to me, and an extra special thank you to all my Patreons. I greatly appreciate the extra support to continue to allow me to pursue Pokemon Go full time, allowing me to create my daily video uploads in the most timely fashion for everyone's benefit. Plus, I get the amazing experience of sharing my creative processes behind the scenes and raiding all around the globe with select upper tiers. Thank you everybody for being a part of the Trainer Club. You all mean the absolute world to me, and I will see you guys out on the next video.